Fay, and I left the service as a sergeant. I was in the 45th Infantry Division, which was a National Guard unit that had been converted to duty. I was in the 180th Infantry Regiment, Company A, and then I had some later time in the 180th Regimental Headquarters. The Army wasn't all duty whatever. They had what they called R&R, rest and recuperation. So you had 7 days that the Army would take you. They would fly you to Japan, to Tokyo. They'd fly you, or you could go to Hong Kong. I don't know who ever went to Hong Kong, but we finally got a chance. Some of us, you went in different settings. You didn't all go at once. They would pick you out, your name came up in a lottery or whatever, however it came up. And you got on a plane from Seoul and we flew to Japan. And you could go to Tokyo, or you can go to an island south of Tokyo, which was a old Japanese resort. 4 or 5 of our friends, we decided to go to the resort instead of stay in the city. And we had a delightful time. We were at a Japanese resort hotel on the Japan Sea. We could go swimming, we got bike riding. The only difficulty we had was in one town we went into, they had big signs, "Go away, GI." And what they were all upset about was Hiroshima. And they didn't particularly want United States GI. So we stayed away from that area. And so that was some of the break you got. When we came back, then we got back to the same thing we had before. It was more. I got transferred in 1952, or I was in Company A in 1951. I was on the Battle of Old Baldy, and then after Old Baldy, I guess it was in the spring of 1952, I got transferred to the regimental headquarters, and I went to school, intelligence school, for a week. I learned how to identify artillery shells. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. Artillery shells from the enemy come, and some of them blow up buildings, some of them blow up structures. Most of them land in the ground and send up a shattering of metal. But there's a cone, pointed cone to the artillery shell that remains intact. It doesn't get destroyed. If you can locate that cone, which one of my jobs was to locate the cone, you could take a measurement of where and how the cone left, and it would tell you where within 25 yards the enemy cannon was that fired that. Also, the cone had interesting markings on it. They were all, whether they were all Chinese, but they were American shells that were made in Aberdeen, Maryland. There were other shells made in Czechoslovakia, some made in Germany, and some made in Russia, all imprinted on the cone of this shell. It wasn't, when I wrote my mother and father what I was doing, my father wrote back and said, "I don't believe it." What are you doing with shells? So that was part of the intelligence aspect that I spent time doing. And the other part was walking on patrols to find out what the enemy might be doing or not doing. So that, in a capsule version, is what my experience was. It was 2 years